Welcome to the Bike Talk with Dave podcast. I'm your host, Dave Mabel. Thanks for tuning in. While I've got a little Ragbri spectacular episode planned for next week, this week I wanted to talk to someone who most of you have probably never heard of. But if you have ever done Ragbri, then you probably know who he is. Patrick Coughlin and his wife Gabrielle own the infamous Cow Bus, and they run Team Cow. You cannot miss either of them. The 15 or 20 riders are decked out in spotted cow jerseys, or the big white bus with black spots mooing its way across the state. Now, 2024 was a great year for a week-long ride across Iowa. Great temperatures, barely any wind, no rain, short days, and great host towns. And Patrick and Team Cow enjoyed a delightful and uneventful week. But of course, on the way home, drama ensued. So I had to get to the bottom of it. Was this the end of Team Cow? Or would a phoenix rise from the ashes? Let's join Patrick at his office in Des Moines to get the whole story. Patrick Coughlin, welcome to Bike Talk with Dave. I know you're an avid listener. You have that thing piped into the bus on your daily commute, I'm sure. Obviously, I'm joking, but it's not piped into the bus. Of course, it's piped into your office here, which, by the way, thank you for hosting the portable Bike Talk with Dave studio. But anyway, Patrick, welcome to Bike Talk with Dave.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So I'm guessing that out of the, and this is our Ragbri special here. So out of the, I don't know, I heard 16,000 people signed up this year. So 15 to 20,000 people on Ragbri. I'm guessing 12 and a half of them know your name, but all 20,000 know the Cow Bus. It's a very prolific, you run a very prolific team and have a very prolific bus, the Cow Bus. And I'm super excited to talk about it. The Cow Bus has a life all its own, which we're going to get into, but yes. I'm curious where that dang thing came from.
So you want the story of how it became the cow, like why cows, or just...
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
It's actually our second Cow Bus.
I did know it was your second Cow Bus, and I cannot believe you've had it 12 years. Because I remember the old one, too.
Yeah, it still seems to me like the new one. We've had this one longer than the old one, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the first one I bought for $700. And we, put the stuff on it, and I don't know, spent a couple $1,000 putting awnings and toilets and stuff in it, and then... You did, but you wanted it before your lovely bride wanted it. Is that right? Yeah. So that is the cow story. So I wanted to buy an old school bus and make it into a camper, and she was not hip on the idea. She's like, I'm not going to go around in some homemade, janky looking school bus camper. But she liked the cow, so she had a cow kitchen. She had the border, the napkin rings, and all that stuff. And
do you guys have a history in farming or anything, or did she just like cow stuff?
She liked the cow print stuff, and so that was kind of my little angle to work with her. But come on, we'll paint it like a cow. You can make curtains. We'll get a moo horn. It'll be fun. We'll just make fun of the whole thing. And so finally, she says, go ahead, I can tell you're going to do it anyway, but I know it's just going to sit in the backyard and rust and nothing's going to happen with it. So, of course, I had to, prove her wrong on that. And
follow through with all your cow promises.
Yeah.
Did you buy with the intention of doing Ragbri on it?
No.
No, okay, cool.
So we had a Cow Bus camper before we knew about Ragbri buses. Well, I actually did Ragbri 3 and 4.
Oh, wow.
1975 and 76. I was 11 and 12. And I did the whole week, both years, on my little 10-speed.
Oh, that's a whole
awesome.
Other
story, actually.
I'm sure that's a great story.
So then, so her and I, we decided we were wanting to get in shape, start exercising. We found biking. And then she says, hey, now that we've been riding bikes, we should do Ragbri. And since I had been on it as a kid, I'm like, are you crazy? There's no way I'm going to take a week's vacation to do that. It's hard. You're out there in the heat. I'm like, that's not fun at all. I want a vacation where you're sitting, by the pool or the beach, relaxing,
sure.
kind of thing. So, but of course, you can see who won that argument.
I feel like that's fair, though. I mean, you wanted the bus, you got her to cave on the cows. She wanted to do RAGBRAI, and you caved on that. How long ago was that?
That was 2003. We went on the charter. We lived in Marshalltown, and we went with Iowa Valley Bike Club. That's where they've been chartering out of there for years. And so once we got there, then we saw all the buses. And I was like, hey, next year, let's not pay to go on a charter. I go, let's build a deck for the top, and we'll start our own team. I mean, we already got a theme.
Yep.
Let's start a team. And so that's how it began. And in that 04.
Oh, so happy anniversary.
Thank you. Last year, if you count the 20th, it was our 20th. And I also said this was our last RAGBRAI. It's RAGBRAI's 50th. It's our 20th as a team. I turned 60 this year. I'm getting tired of doing it. I love it, don't get me wrong, but I'm ready to be done. And then, like most of the people that started with us that are my age, the 50s and 60s, have all quit. But we have kind of a whole new generation. My daughter's friends, some 20s and 30s, and then, anyway, so that... And so when it was 4th of July last year, we went out on a group ride, and I said, hey guys, just so you know, this is the last one. And they're like, no, you can't do that. I just bought a jersey, da-da-da. And so I was like, okay, one more year. And then this year, we had 7 new people this year.
Wow, where do they come from? And how's that work? Well, I've always been curious, and for those who don't know RAGBRAI, how would you explain what RAGBRAI is? Somebody's from, I don't know where you wouldn't hear.
Well, let me back up just a little bit. So our first year, I had all these buddies and stuff from Marshalltown lined up, and afterwards plans were well along the way. They all bailed out, and I'm like, shit, what do we got? We got to find some people. So I posted on the RAGBRAI forums. You go to the RAGBRAI site, and they have a forum, and I posted new team cow, looking for members. So that was how our very first year went, and we got people started mailing us. So we had people from Texas, Arizona, Florida.
Your first year.
Our first year, and then I had my dad. My stepmom drove the bus. We had a little family group and then a bunch of strangers. And it went that way for a few years, and then people started sticking it. Like, hey, I want to come back next year. Hey, can I bring my kids? They're getting back from college. Can I bring my wife? And then we've had all these phases over the years where, groups fade in, do a year, one and done, or 3 or 4 or 5, and then they move on. And like this year was another kind of a big one because a bunch of people had said we're done. So that's how we get 7 brand new people. And now it's kind of the same, only not so much through the forums. It's just we're pretty well known. We're easy to spot. Yes. That's a cow pun. That's a Holstein pun. Not the greatest, but
that was utterly fantastic. I'm sure you've heard every single
all day long. Move over, ha ha ha. You laugh like you've never heard it before. But so now they just reach out. They see us on Facebook, or we've had 2 or 3 of them were that way. And then I want to bring my buddy. Hey, you got room for my friend? Hey, my cousin wants to do it. And so that's pretty much how it goes now.
Yeah.
So we used the first few times where a bunch of people quit, we'd kind of panic, like, oh my God, is the team going to die? What are we going to do? Now we're old veterans at it. I'm like, people will be contacting us.
You have a flag at the Iowa beer tent.
Correct.
So you're established.
Exactly.
Yes. So I'm curious. It can't be 0 work, and it can't be $0. Is it worth it?
If you'd have asked me 2 years ago, I'd have said yes. But like I said, I'm just getting tired of it. But so our early years, we didn't line anything up. We just go to the main campgrounds, and then after, I could tell you some. We had some stories with conflict with the generators and other campers and a variety of different things. And I said, you know what? Let's try to do the lineup. So and back then I also said, why do people go stay in these yards? I'm like, you wouldn't even feel like you're on RAGBRAI. Here in the camp where everyone's at is where it's at, except for the toilets are a block and a half or 2 away, right. And the line's 40 people long, and so we started lining up houses. And after the first year of that, why haven't we been doing this since the beginning? This is great. We can be over here at the house where it's quiet. And if you want to go to the action, go to the action. And so
you don't have to sleep in the action.
You don't have to sleep. Try to sleep in the action.
Right.
And so we've been doing that ever since. So that's The team helps, but that's part of it. As soon as the route's announced, you immediately been, do you know anybody in this town? Does anybody know anybody in this town? And usually we get a few right away, and then there's a couple towns that you don't. For example, the two we couldn't get this year was Glenwood, the first town, and Mount Pleasant. So we took the cow bus up, camped near Glenwood, rode our bike into town, went to the brewery, went to the bar, walked up to every table. Hey, blah, blah, blah.
While you're there?
Yeah. Hey, we got our gear on, we got our tandem, our cow painted tandem, and we're like, hey, we're in town looking for a place to stay. We're the cow team, da da da. And then that's how we got this one.
That day.
Actually, we got a house, so the people, everybody in the bar turned us down. They were like, we'd love to, but we have a small yard, all their reasons. And then I said, well, I'm just going to knock on some doors. So we're riding around the neighborhoods, and there's a guy with his garage door open. He's out there putting around. I walk up, hey, how you doing? Same spiel, Sure, okay.
Wow,
and so
that's
I was like,
right.
Thanks. We write. Everybody knows it's coming. Everybody knows what it is. So we get all this contact information. We're riding back to the campground. There's a little town 4 miles out, Pacific Junction, and we see this little bar there. So we stop and have a drink before we get back to camp. And I start talking to the guy. He's like, I'm gonna have the street blocked. I'm gonna have food. And I look out back. There's this big grassy area that's big shade trees everywhere, better than the yard. And I was like, what do you think about letting a team stay here? Oh, that'd be great. Da da da. So we ended up. I thanked the other guy. We ended up staying at the bar, and I'll spare you those stories. But
it was
fun, and it was great. It was a good spot, and they loved having us.
And it was a short day anyway, so what's another 4 miles?
4 flat miles to the town. It was nothing.
Yeah, we did not have 4 flat miles. We stayed in Council Bluffs.
Oh, yeah.
And our host guy is like, "Oh, I got a route. We'll jump on in Silver City." All right, cool. We're riding through Council Bluffs, 20, 30 of us, and he turns left onto 92.
Oh my gosh.
And after a mile, we're like, this is the vehicle route.
No.
We're on the vehicle route.
Oh
it was,
God.
I'm sure, we're convinced, and we had like 8 miles of it. We're convinced that was the busiest road in the state of Iowa. That hour.
Had to be.
It had to be busier than
every
any interstate
like, what are
at 8
these
o'clock on Sunday morning.
Here?
For sure. Well, the cow bus drives by and moos at us. We were honored.
Hey. Good old Butch.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ragbri, you make do and you figure it out and march right along. Do you hear something ringing? Is it yours? Okay.
It says take your cholesterol meds.
Oh, get on it. You better get on it. I'm like,
they're at home.
Is it my phone?
I didn't. Well, you see, I wear hearing aids now. I don't hear very well, so I'm glad you heard it.
Well, don't forget to take your cholesterol.
I will. I'll try to remember.
All right, cool. Do you want me to call you when you get home?
Could you?
Yeah. Hey Siri, remind me to. So yeah, you just make Ragbri happen, which is cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool thing about it. It's like you can have stuff lined up, or you don't have to have stuff lined up, and Ragbri magic just happens, which is awesome.
So Mount Pleasant, we hadn't lined up. Do you know what have you ever read the Axios newsletter? It's a kind of local newsletter, gets emailed to you.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
One of our teammates, Lynn Ta, who used to work for the Register, writes it. Oh. And so I said, we got one town left we can't get. I said, if we can't line anything up, we'll make the road trip over there too. She goes, let me try posting it in the newsletter. And then somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody hooked us up with a lady there, and we ended up having a great house. It was this big old Victorian house that they had completely restored, and the lady was wonderful and hooked us up with the meatloaf dinner at the Methodist Church that night, which was also great.
I kind of want to ask, but it's a hard question. But my kids asked me, like, I've been going since I started 10 years after you in the mid-'80s.
We remember you guys with the Mabel train.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was another 10 years later. But, yeah, absolutely. We had the train going. Yeah. All the kids still go. We had all 3 kids this year, which is cool. Not the whole time, but they all came for a bit. They're all freaking Ragbri experts, that's for sure. Our daughter, speaking of finding places, like she knows she's our support crew, and she can navigate a town and find us a place to sleep, find us a place to eat, find us a place to shower.
Nice.
Like, she is a Ragbri insider, which I think is cool. But
right.
I mean, she started when she was 1.
Yeah.
On the Mabel train.
Yep.
I don't know where I was going.
You were going
to
ask something you wanted to ask, but
my son asked me this. He goes, like, what's the worst day on Ragbri? I'm like, oof, I don't know. But how about you? You got to have some hard days in the past.
For me, so I own the bus. Then I'm also out there. I'm doing the ride, and we got a friend / we pay him a little, nothing big. But, I'm out riding, and the phone rings, and I look, and it's Butch.
Uh-oh.
Butch never calls us on the route unless there's a problem, and so it's like, we're in such and such town, the bus won't start, and I'm out in the middle, and there's only so much I can do, and then that is the worst. I would say over the years we've had a few people crash, break an arm, get hurt, get taken to the hospital. Thankfully, no heart attacks or deaths or anything. I guess I should say that's probably the worst. But just for me, personally, coping with the day, I want to be out there. I want nothing to worry about, but getting over the next hill, worrying about what I'm going to eat. That's kind of what I think makes Ragbri a great. If getting away from work and forgetting about your other life is what vacation is about, Ragbri's it, because you don't think about any of that stuff.
Is that what attracts you on an annual basis?
I think so. I don't remember who told me that one year, and I thought, that's exactly right. I thought about it. I was like, I didn't think about work. I'm not checking. I'm always on my phone. I'm always checking my emails constantly. I don't check my phone. I'm not thinking about bills. It's getting over the next hill, how far to the next town, what are we going to eat or drink?
100%.
And that's it. And it's just sort of like, I don't know, living, survival kind of like. If that sounds maybe a little over dramatic, but it's.
I mean, it is. It's food and shelter and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like,
yeah,
that's we're on that bottom level.
Yes,
for the week of Ragbri, but we're also enjoying it, and we are also at the top of Maslow's hierarchy by fulfilling our connections to other humans and challenges and overcoming obstacles and being delighted at the views as you come over that hill and the freaking Grant Wood.
Yeah, I missed that.
American Gothic.
Half our team took their picture from. I don't know how we missed it.
That was cool. I thought that was cool. The American Gothic house. My lovely bride and I got our picture.
Did you
with
see
the
really big flag that went from the ground way up? I didn't see.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
4 of our guys got their picture when they got a kind of a photo of downward looking up, and it is neat. It's like it's frame worthy.
Huh? Very
it's
cool.
A cool pic.
We weren't that original. We took a selfie in front of it,
right.
Which is cool. But yeah, that was an impressive giant flag. Great week though. So it was kind of a question whether you're coming back next year. For a couple of reasons. A, you're tired and you're like, this is going to be the last one. And, no, don't be the last one. I just bought a jersey. No, it's going to be the last one. No, we're going to go again.
Yeah.
So you go again.
And so this year, the first day, they're already on me. Is that you're not quitting, are you? And for one, the weather was so great.
It was awesome.
And even though we had the stuff with my truck and had to do the rental, everything was flowing good. The house went up, the camaraderie, everybody was getting along. And I was just like, I was back and I'm enjoying this, and so they're all wanting an answer, And at first I was like, well, I don't know, see how the week goes, and then I was like, yeah, we're in. I said, but it's year to year at this point. No promises.
Fair enough.
No promises.
Fair enough. Pretty soon you're gonna be like Tom, since you started in like 75, 70. Ragbri 3 was.
Yeah, those 2 years when
74,
I was a kid.
75 was Ragbri 3.
75 and 76.
76, okay. Yeah. You're going to be like Tom from Marshalltown. You probably know Tom.
I know Tom.
Who has
Very
the
well.
Map on the back of his bike of every mile, every hill, every day.
Well, yeah, he's Iowa Valley Bike Club, so we did our first charter with them.
Of course you did it, because he was every mile, every hill, every day for like 37 years.
Yep, and he So several years we do different games and different things that for the team. So we had this thing called it's a scavenger hunt, but a scavenger hunt, blah, blah. So it was
I didn't come up with that one.
I know, it's
for the record.
Anyway, look good on paper doesn't sound so good. Every day you get points for different stuff. So if there's small points, if it's something that Banana Man or Loincloth Guy or the stuff you can see every day, those are worth less. There's things that you can only get that day, so once they're gone, they're gone. The wooden shoe in such and such town, the bar with the pennies on it. And so you got to take a photo, and at night you come back and we rack up the points. And the prize.
That's a fun game.
The prize was free admission to Team Cow the next year. So
wow,
several $100 value. Tom was. So these people don't know him. I know him but he always has that, "Hi, I'm Tom. Have you seen my tent?" And one year, by the way, his tent was hidden on top of the cow bus. So
no way!
That was a fun year, yeah. So we had this 50-pointer, which was if you could find Team Tom, "Have you seen my tent?" from Marshalltown and get your photo with him. It was a 50-pointer, and people found him. And it was like ecstatic, and he was ecstatic because they're like, oh my god, there's the 50-pointer, and they're like, "Hey, are you Tom?" And he's like, "Yeah, and Team Cow, yeah, those yahoos." And so he still talks about that,
Oh, that's awesome. He was on the pod last year. He was rolling along, and I whipped out Mr. Microphone, and we did an on-the-bike interview with with every hill, every mile, every day.
Great.
And I saw him again this year. I asked him this year, I thought it was kind of interesting. Speaking of, you are going year to year now. I was like, "Tom, do you have an exit strategy?" He's like, "What do you mean?" As soon as he said, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Nope, he sure doesn't. He's just here till he's not."
The rumor is this might be his last year. I heard his wife posted something. Oh, and there was an article done on him, and it was I saw it online, and it was his 38th year. Might be his last year.
Wow.
So.
Well, he didn't open up to me when I asked him about his exit strategy. Because I'm wondering, how do you break that streak?
I don't know.
My bike broke and I couldn't ride the rest of the day or something. You got to have an out.
Right. Well, I know he had a hip or knee replaced, and there was a big question whether he was going to do it last year or not because of that, and he did.
He made it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. He talked about that. All right, let's talk about that bus.
Yeah.
It's your second bus.
Sirloin the Magnificent.
You guys,
I know,
seriously.
I know they're the worst jokes.
As a matter of fact, I want to go back a little bit further. Speaking of cow stuff, do you use that all the time? Are you like, "Honey, I kind of got my eye on this sweet tandem fat bike. No, we don't need that. No, that's a stupid idea. No, we're not getting a tandem fat bike. I'll paint it cow." Okay. Do you get anything you want as long as you paint it cow?
No, we don't have to do that anymore.
You don't?
Cow, it just became our thing.
It's just automatic.
People, it's like half of our stuff. If you go on our bus, there's some shelves full of stuffed animals. There's kids, cow, everything. And people will bring us stuff now. It's like, "Hey, I saw this and I thought of you. I bet you've never seen this before." And
I'll put it next to my other 3.
Correct. I always tell them, "No, I haven't."
Right.
Never seen that. Great job.
Now you know. That's his secret.
So that's just how it is now.
Yeah. So you said you gave away a free ticket to next year's Ragbri on the cow bus this year. Therefore, you had to be thinking about this next year.
Actually, we didn't give it away this year, and the reason is we had a new contest, which I won.
Oh, that's not fair.
Well,
come on, it's like winning your own bike race.
But it wasn't a thing I set up where I knew. When I did the scavenger hunt, I would keep track of my points just to see if I would actually win. But I wouldn't do it because I knew where everything was at.
Sure.
I did create a thing. But what the contest was this year was tattoos and stickers. You get points for putting tattoos on people. You say, "Hey, can I put a Team Cow tattoo on you?" And if you just did their wrist or their arm, that was some points. And then if you get them to let them put it on your boob or your butt, that was some extra points. And if you got them to let you lick it on,
oh boy,
then that was even more points.
I believe I witnessed that once.
With my wife's permission, I slayed the competition. I was the hands down winner with the most. I don't know if I can say this on the podcast, but with the most titties licked all week long, with the photos to prove it.
You know I did hit record there, right? Just checking.
You can edit that out. That's fine.
Hey man, you said it. No, that's kind of funny. That's funny.
It was funny.
And with your wife's permission.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask.
There was no nipple. I'll just go there.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of high up on.
All right.
The
Oh, that's easy then. Okay. Okay. All right.
Very innocent.
Okay, that is very innocent. That's yeah. That's.
And the truth is, we'd put it on with a wet towel, and then they would take it off, and then put your tongue on it for the photo.
You get a picture.
And yeah.
Okay.
So. All innocent fun.
All innocent fun.
And I had it all, and it was all consensual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believe you. I mean, I
felt like I had to say that.
Yeah.
For the record.
But anyway, you're thinking about next year until the drive home this year.
Right.
So what happened?
One of the best weeks ever. Great weather.
It
no
was
injuries. Everyone, all the new people. And the bus is running great. I'm like, and I think I might have jinxed it by saying, "Man, the bus has just been running so great."
You can't say that until you get home.
But it was a total rookie mistake. It's like you don't talk about flat tires.
Yeah, 100%.
On a bike. Yeah. So we're leaving Burlington. We get to Mount Pleasant. We pull in. We dump the toilet tanks at this RV park. We pull into A&W and eat. And as we're pulling out, the bus dies, sputters and dies. We get it half off the road, so we're half in the lane, half on the shoulder, and it's dead. It won't start. So we call the repair guy. He comes out, tries to work on it, can't get it to go, and says like, I can't, whatever it is, like I can't get it here. So we're gonna have to, tow it in and look at it. So.
Tell me how you got it off the road.
Oh, so yeah. So, well, the way he knew the issue was a fuel issue is he, spraying ether into it, and it would start and run. So as long as he kept spraying ether in it, it would run. So it's a rear engine. So he opens back cord. He's basically hanging on and spraying ether into it while I drive across 3 lanes of traffic to get to the shoulder. And we did have the police with their lights on blocking traffic, but still, I was pretty impressed with that.
For sure.
And so then it was waiting for the tow truck.
We actually saw that. You turn off.
I gotta just say this real quick. People are great, right? So we're sitting there. How are we going to get the bikes? How are we going to get 16 people home? This motorhome pulls up, complete stranger, and says, "Hey, you guys need any help?" And we're like, "Actually, we got 10 or 15 people here. We've got to get home." And he's, "Well, where are you going, Des Moines?" "Well, I'm going to Marshalltown. It's that general direction. I'm still probably an hour out of my way, but I'm happy to do it. Come on in."
Wow.
And so 10 or 12 of them got on. And then 2 of the guys' wives brought pickups up. So we got some of the rest of the people and some of the bikes. And we had a young couple from Arizona. They were close to my heart because they were riding a tandem. We've ridden a tandem for every one of ours.
Yep.
It kind of, reminded us of them when we were younger and lean and fast. But they packed up their tandem as one of the couplered ones. So they had it packed in 2 cases, shipped it to our house, and then flew to Des Moines. And so they had to catch a flight Sunday morning at 5 a.m. So we got their tandem down, got it back. It's now late Saturday. They're out in the driveway in the dark packing it up.
Wow.
So that happened, and then my wife and I drove the truck and trailer home, and that's how we all got home. And so the bus is still sitting in the repair shop in Burlington. The tow was $940, but today on the phone, when I called to pay the bill, I started telling him about the fundraiser we were doing, and he dropped the bill down to $740, $200 off.
Super nice. So cool. I want to talk about that fundraiser because that's kind of why I'm here. The first post I saw was the bus is dead, $7,000 or $8,000 to fix it. It's not worth that much.
Right.
We're taking it to the junkyard.
Yep.
Rest in peace, cowboys.
Ragbry's over.
Ragbry's over.
The team's done. It's all over.
Sir Loin
the Magnificent.
The Magnificent has breathed his last.
Yes.
And we shall bury him.
Yes.
What happened after you hit that post?
So, well, part of that story too is my wife came home sick. She's still sick with a fever, so she was struggling to, like, I'm like, you got to help me make this decision. It's got to be a joint decision. And she's, I can't even think, and partly too, the guy at the repair shop, he goes, assuming you're kicking this thing in the head, right? I mean, the repair is probably about what the bus is worth. And I said, yeah, probably, but I said, give me an exact estimate. Let me think about it. So one thing I looked at was, what are they worth nowadays? I know stuff's really expensive, and I was Googling. Ours is a 2003, so I did 2003 to 2008 buses, and they were like, the lowest one was $3,000 and up to like $12,000, and most of them were in the $5,000 to $8,000 range. And I thought, well, I guess he's right. The bus is probably, an empty bus is probably valued at, but I just put a new $1,500 rear air conditioner on it this year, and it won another one last year. And when I started kind of figuring out how would this work, because the last time we switched buses, I had it in my driveway. So I was able to take the top deck off, spend several weeks stripping it, get the refrigerator out, get it, all the valuable stuff out of it, and then take it to the junkyard, and then start building a new one. Well, it was $900 to tow it 20 miles, so there's no way I'm towing it all the way to Des Moines. And then I started thinking, well, if I decide to build a new bus, I'll go buy a $5,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 bus, and then, so I don't think the guy realizes how much we have in it, and not to mention the sentimental value. The thought of taking that thing to the junkyard, we just weren't ready for that yet, And so our friends are like, well, why don't you do a GoFundMe? And I'm like, yeah, I don't. That's not I don't like to ask for help, and I don't like to ask.
You run a nonprofit organization.
I do it for these guys because I'm not asking for me.
Fair enough. Well, I don't think you're asking for you either. I really don't. I do RAGBRAI with my family. I don't have a bus.
That's true, and that's kind of what they said. And they're like, they go, you might raise, heck, you might raise the whole amount. You might raise a couple. And I go, we're going to be lucky to get $500. If we got $1,000, I'd be, But so all of that together, I thought, if we could raise a couple grand. Oh, so prior to this, we have talked about if we have a big mechanical with the bus, like, what's our cutoff? What is the dollar amount we say we're either done, we junk the bus, or we keep going? And we had 5,000 has kind of been the number we had in our head. So when he said the first pre-estimate was 6 to 7, I was like, gosh, it's very close to what we. Anyway, so there was just all that angst of what to do, and so they said, why don't you try and well, also before we even did that, several of the team started sending me money, a couple hundred here, a couple hundred. So we were up to close to I don't remember the number, several $100s had already started flowing in. And I was like, well, okay, let's do it. So we created it, put it out there last night, and right away money started coming in. Fairly quickly. When I went to bed a couple hours later, I think it was at like 1,200 or 1,400, and I was like, wow, I was like, if we could get to 2,500, that takes me down to my 5,000 number, right? Because the bill was 76, and so that now I'm like, okay, now it's easier to justify. And so anyway, that was how that happened. I woke up this morning and it was at 1,800 and something. And then money just kept coming. Someone goes, hey, you should post it on that RAGBRAI page. I don't think it's the official one, but there's a lot of RAGBRAI people on it. And my wife didn't want me to do that because she's one of those that goes and reads all the negative comments and gets upset, like the people that want to run over bikers and all that. And I go, why do you read the negative crap? And sure enough, some negative people chimed in and started, freeloaders want free money. Why 21 years as a team, you don't have a slush fund? Who planned this? Stuff like that. And I tried not. Some of my teammates responded, but I tried not to respond. But anyway, I just checked it before we came here. We just cracked 4,000.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah. Again, it's you're not asking for you. This is not your personal toy. You guys don't. Maybe you do, but
it's a little of both, honestly. So one of the things we did, if you look at the inside of our bus, I said, it doesn't make sense to me to have a bus you use 1 week a year and then it sits, and I don't even think that's good for it. I said, let's set the inside up more like an RV. And we'll go. Okay, so we use it. We get it out in the spring. We camp in it. You find us out at Saylorville and state parks and everything else, which, by the way, is really fun. We haven't been to a campground yet where someone doesn't come up and want to tour, want to take pictures, want to talk about it. So we've met people all over with that. So it is both our personal recreational deal, but 1 week out of the year, not just 1 week, 1 week out of the year, it's the RAGBRAI party bus.
Right.
You know, and we've added stuff that we wouldn't have in there if it was just our camper, like a kegerator. The
Sure.
kitchen counter has this booze dispenser, you know.
Well, the whole freaking bike rack on the roof.
The bike rack on top we wouldn't have, although it is nice to go up there when you're camping.
The patio.
Yeah, the upper deck patio. And then we'll do like a spring and fall reunion ride where we try to get together as a team and do a little 1 or 2 day ride. Maybe a couple bar stops in there. Maybe.
Huh. That's crazy.
So,
yeah, I never saw you guys at the Iowa craft beer tent.
The other thing we do with the bus that we have a family history at the state fair. My mom camped at the fair for 20 years, and when they got to where I don't know if you know how the campground works at the fair, but there's like a 20-year waiting list.
It's like getting a ticket to Green Bay.
Correct.
Like season tickets to Green Bay.
You can inherit it from a family member. I couldn't give it to you, but I could give it to my sister.
No, if we got married, you...
Well, then yes.
All right.
So I took it over when my mom couldn't do it anymore, and so we get done with RAGBRAI. We have a couple weeks, take all the RAGBRAI stuff out, the charging station, all the extra cords and hoses and all that, put our camping stuff back in, the grills and the whatever, and then we go park it at the fair, and then we're at the fair for 12 days. So at work here, it's like, Pat's pretty much gone July and August.
Right. Haven't you won like the Camper of the Fair Award or something?
Yes, the camper lighting contest.
Lighting contest.
Yes, campground lighting contest. So the first year we entered, we won a little plaque, most unique entry. And I said to my wife, I was like, it's cool, we won something. And then I said, but you know what, we're going to get pigeonholed into that. And then we've won the most unique entry, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, I can't remember how many times. And so I was like, I'm going to admit, I want to win, a grand champion overall. I want to win it. So I started building up, and a couple years ahead, I went around and looked at that. I felt like I won, but I didn't. And I talked to I ran into one of the winners, and I saw his trophy sitting outside his camper. So I talking to him, and I says, "What's the secret?" He goes, "Well, since I'm not entering this year, I'll tell you." And he says, it isn't just your lights. He goes, you gotta smooze the judges. You gotta present. He goes, for example, we came out and somebody sang a song and I did this presentation and we had drinks and cookies and stuff for him. And I was like, he goes, it's the whole thing. It's not just the lights. So I go, well, we weren't even there when the judges came. We were down at the fair. We just turned our lights on and left. He's like, oh, no, you'll never win that way. It's like, oh, okay. So we ended up stepping it up. I used to have a slide that I made out of PVC roller so you could climb on top of the deck and slide down. And then we had all the lights and we did a whole little welcome to the cow bus. We had a speaker out there and I thought, this is my year. I nailed it. I won reserve grand champion, which is second place. Oh. It's like, what does it take, And the next year I didn't even get second.
Oh, wow.
So then I just went insane. And I built a whole sheet, rusted sheet metal patio thing and a bar and the slide and everything was lit. And that year, and here's a neat thing. As part of the nonprofit I work for, we got an award that year and we went to this luncheon to get it. And while we're talking, there's a guy there who... he goes, I don't remember how it come up, RAGBRAI in the first. He goes, you're the cow bus guy. And I was like, how do you know that? And he goes, I'm a judge for the lighting contest. And I go, come here. I need to talk to you about this. So he's actually
off the record.
What's the secret? And I said, why didn't I win that year? And he said, it was the second place year. He goes, it was very, very close. And we were debated about it and it was not unanimous. And a lot of people voted for you, but, he's actually now, he's a legislator, Brian Losey, Representative Losey, I don't know. A lot of people know him because his family won the lottery over in Bondurant. They built the grocery store. And
sure.
So, and he now sits on our board here at my nonprofit.
Oh, great relationship.
Yeah. And so that year that I finally won, it was 2019. And when I met with him later afterwards, I was like, well, was it close again? He goes, wasn't even close. You annihilated everyone. There was just no debate. Then 2020, there was no fair.
Right.
So I claim that still as reigning champion.
Sure, absolutely.
And then we won again in 2021 when it came back. That year I still had the bar and everything, and then I changed my light theme to red, white, and blue, and I did a whole, we're back, America, COVID's over, and that was my thing, and we slayed that year again.
Dang.
So 3-year reigning champion is how and then I didn't, and then now I've retired from the competition.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of work to keep going year after year after year.
It's way more worth it.
It's probably easier for Tom to do every hill, every mile, every year, every day.
What you win is free camping for the fair next year, which is
that's awesome.
$496 value. So I only spent probably $3,000 in lights and stuff to win that prize.
It's kind of like the Iowa Craft Beer Tent T-shirt.
Right. Yeah,
my $80 free T-shirt. Right. For sure. Hashtag earned it.
Yeah.
T-shirt sure tastes good, though.
I mean, the justification of it was, well, you were going to stop for the beer anyway.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, just as well get a punch card and add them up.
Yeah.
So how's somebody help you guys out?
We have a GoFundMe page, so you can. There's links to it all. So my name's Patrick Coughlin. You can go to my Facebook page, or you can go to our Team Cow Facebook page, and you'll see the links there.
Is that what they'll look for? Is Team Cow?
Yep. Team Cow or my name. There's probably more posted on my personal page, but the links are out there both. So
I'll link on the Bike Talk.
Okay.
We don't have 1 million followers, but almost.
So we're going to be camping with some friends in our spot at the fair since we won't have the bus.
So you setting up a tent or?
No. Some friends have a camper, so they want to go to the fair anyway. So we're all going to camp together in their camper, and we've made posters with a QR code on it. Say, "Do you miss the cow bus? Help us save our beloved cow bus," and they can scan the QR code. I'm also going to be going around the state fair campground, talking to all of our friends, asking if I can put the poster on their campers. Kim and Sue, for example.
Nice.
So the other thing that happens in the campground, it's a whole other world in the campground.
Absolutely.
And so as the longer we were there, we started meeting people. So there's these bar crawls that are camper crawls that happen. And then they have certain campers that are known for being a place to stop. So we became one of the stops on the camper crawl as well. And so we've met people that way.
With the slide off your roof, that could be a dangerous thing.
We did end up retiring the slide upon the advice of our attorney.
Not a bad idea. Kind of wondered about that, but hey, what the heck?
And when somebody slid off and banged into the neighbor's camper and dented it, and we had to pay for that. So
that was
a series of events that made us decide that we should take it down a notch.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So Team Cow on Facebook, or Patrick Coughlin on Facebook, Coughlin.
Yep.
To resurrect, bring the Sirloin the Magnificent.
Sirloin the Magnificent
out of the ashes, like a phoenix rising from the sand. All right, man, thanks. And I will look forward to seeing you and the bus and getting Moodad on Highway 92.
Great. Well, I appreciate you having me here and give me a chance to plug my Save the Cow Bus GoFundMe page and talk about that. I love talking about. And they joke here at work, get me talking about Ragbri or the cow bus or the fair, and then you can't shut me up. So.
Yeah, you do have a full summer.
I do.
I love it. Well, thanks, man. And
thank you, Dave.
I'll look forward to seeing you and the team next year.
All right.
And the next year. And then
1 year at a time. Year by year.
What's your exit strategy? Just asking. All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks to Patrick for taking the time to join me on Bike Talk with Dave. If you'd like to help out and keep Sirloin the Magnificent alive, look for Team Cow on Facebook, or just look in the show notes and I'll drop some links there to GoFundMe. I also want to thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate it, and I would love it if you would rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to support the show financially, feel free to drop some coins in the cup at buymeacoffee.com. Just look for Bike Talk with Dave. Now, if you're looking for ways to fill your August with some great bike riding, you can jump in the Core 4 on August 17th, but sign up soon as they are filling up fast. In fact, all of the Bike Talk with Dave spots have been taken, so I want to thank all of you who took advantage of the 14% discount. Now, if you missed out on that and you still want a great deal on a great race, we've got 10% off for you at Gravel Worlds. Just use the code Bike Talk with Dave for 10% off when you sign up. Now, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a great week. And remember that nothing compares with the simple pleasure of riding a bicycle.